let's see. I'm curious if the next chapter. Let's visit the chapter 2 of Trump's interview with DeBalls. Great. Now we have to watch an ad on all this stuff. Oh, music is playing. Lady by a coat rack, little girl staring. Someone once told me that I should get used to people staring. Okay. So I did. Oh, it's a relation to the Olympics, the love of changing perceptions. It's a Citibank ad, right? We saw the Citibank ads, right? Because
executive order, I got rid of everything.
All right, this is the
I got rid of it.
Executive
order, I got rid of everything, but then they ended that executive order and they went back to it in spades. But you know, when we were there and when that crowd was, you never saw a crowd like this. They're more
not a crowd ever
excited now than they were before the election.
Well, I mean, can I, for the record, if I may, you never saw a crowd like that. I'm just gonna say, no, we've seen crowds way larger. And you know what the big difference between this crowd and Trump's crowd is? All of these people paid money to be there. See that? Every single, that person, that person, that person, that person, that person, that person, they're paying like somewhere between 80 and 150 bucks a piece between their ticket, whether they're there, going to multiple things, buying merchandise. They're doling out some fucking cash. All these, look at that. Look at right in Chicago. Here we are. There you go. Look at this business. There's a crowd right there. All these people paying customers. Whereas Trump's little gatherings, big fucking freebies. Free super spreader event. No proof of vaccination necessary.
They're angry, but they're also...
Well, that's the price of admission, I guess. It costs you a little bit of anger to get in.
Excited because they want something.
Anger and excitement. That's what we go for. That's the American dream.
Something, but
it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of anger and excitement.
Myself, we have a big rally in Alabama. You remember the movie Patton? Let's put out George C. Scott. Let's put out his opening scene, which was a classic with the American flag behind him, and we put it out. The place went wild.
Yeah, and it's a fictional address by a character, by the way, played by an actor who thinks you're an asshole. For the record.
You know what came about, and you got me off subject, but that's okay, Mr. President.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, Mr. President. You tend to ramble and dick around.
There's now a conspiracy theory online since you played that the other night in Alabama.
Yeah.
That they're saying that you are Patton's kid.
Oh, really?
Yes. I saw it today.
Yeah. Really? That you're Patton's kid. Ugh. Yeah, Patton Oswalt, maybe.
I want to stick with Afghanistan.
No offense, Patton. That was just wrong. I'm just saying he used to have jokes about kind of spraying the scenery as he toured. Let's just
kind of transition to foreign policy, because what a mess this is now creating. And can you discuss a little bit more about how Biden's weakness and what he allowed to happen in Afghanistan is now going to embolden Iran, Russia, China? We already know China's going to go in and start stripping the minerals. We heard about the
minerals. They're trying to get our precious bodily fluids.
Line that Russia wants to build across Pakistan and Afghanistan. Yeah. That'll probably happen now.
Yeah. I mean, go for it, guys. By the way, if there are any Russians watching, please tell Putin or whoever else is in charge or pretending to be in charge, please build a pipeline all the way across Afghanistan. Do everything you can to invest in that and go for it. And partner with Iran and Pakistan to do it. I'm sure no sections of it will be blown up by lunatics and it will be finished on time and under budget. I guarantee it.
Don't get me started on Iran. We know what you said on
Oh, get started, man. Get started. Because, I mean, if you're going to go on the Pakistan rant.
Rush Limbaugh about Iran. I wish we had a president like you in right now that would do that. Let's talk about the implications.
He was president for 4 years, and he didn't do shit. Just for the record.
For enemies, but also the message it sends to the allies that we allowed this to happen.
So
That we allowed this to what to happen? To us to not get sucked into, quote unquote, the graveyard of empires?
so bad, just so bad. You know, when I was president, I'd go into
You were president? Fuck, man. I'd forgotten all about that. Did anything happen when you were president? That's weird. When were you president? Like around Garfield or something? It's got to be before Kennedy. Right? When people had to start being telegenic, you know? Was he?
these meetings on NATO, on anything.
Yeah, just any general meeting, just president meetings. When I was presidenting.
It was like, sir, what would you like? Always the best seat, always the seat of prominence. They don't feel that way about us anymore.
They what? Always, yeah. Biden, you sit in the back, man. What is this bullshit? Yeah, when they at the G7 meeting, he was in the bottom corner of the Zoom call.
With NATO, you know, they were ripping us off, and they do rip us off, 28 nations total, and they were not paying their bills. They were delinquent, many of them. So I got them into a room, and I said, this is for 18 years they've been delinquent, including Germany, including some of the big ones. 8 of them were
Some of the big ones.
up, and 20 were delinquent, okay? And we were paying for the delinquent nations, and they
No,
said,
we were paying for our own national security because we thought the funds were worth it because it protected us from especially Russian adventurism into Ukraine and other countries. That was why we did it.
to me, sir, would you protect us if we're delinquent? I said, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Yeah, if France doesn't have the money to keep up their 2% in NATO thing, and they got attacked, and they're like at 1.8% or 1.5%, and they got attacked, fuck them, right? Freedom fries.
Everyone was shocked. Never got out to the press. You know when I said that?
Yeah, because it would collapse NATO, and your own people went, holy shit, that's fucking insane.
Because I said that, everybody started paying, and I took in $430 billion from NATO. And I thought that was a great achievement. Of course, it doesn't.
No, you didn't take it in. They put it into NATO. We didn't get it. They didn't pay us back for what we've been doing.
Get reported, but we took in $430 billion. I was looking
We
at
didn't take it in. That is so fucking weird that he thinks that making them pay their fair share in NATO is us taking it in. What?
$30 billion immediately. Took in a total of $430 billion. They respected us.
Right.
No, they feared you were going to pull out and they were going to have to finance NATO on their own.
Respect us anymore. They've lost respect for our country. It actually looked like we lost a war. It was a psychological thing. Think of it. You know, the Taliban's very smart.
Yeah, are they? They're smart. Yeah, that was in your dealings with them on the phone calls you had with them. They came across as very smart. Did they?
The Middle Eastern people are very smart. You deal with smart people.
Yeah, in general. You know what I mean? As a race.
They've been fighting for their whole lives. They've been arguing and fighting. They love to argue and they love to fight.
Yeah, as in general, Middle Eastern people, smart, love to argue, love to fight.
We got into that mess, and it looks like they took all of this equipment and all of this life and treasure. Our treasure is the lives that we lost. And how about if you're a parent and you see what we got out of this? What did we get?
We got out. We didn't get anything out of this. We got out. And their people, we were not going there as pirates, you fucking moron. I mean, this is Trump as a pirate. This is what we're looking at. Trump views everything as transactional. And what he's saying is, what were we? I mean, we got Osama bin Laden, but we'll pretend we didn't because he was a bigger name than anybody that Trump killed. And so he has to avoid saying that. What did we get? We weren't there to get anything. That was the whole reason why we got out ultimately, was that we aren't there to get anything out of it. Yeah, that's the whole take the oil bullshit.
You got humiliated, and you lost a son or you lost a daughter. I used to greet him at Dover.
Used to, and then you stopped. Why'd you stop? You're looking to the side there. That's an interesting bit of... You used to greet him, and then you stopped. Why'd you stop?
The people at Devon, I don't know if they can ever recover, really. And maybe they can recover to an extent, perhaps.
Maybe it was best that you didn't go. You know, you walk up to people with grieving family members around a dead loved one and go, I don't know if you're ever going to... I mean, I don't think anybody can recover from that. I mean, I just pack it in.
But basically, they can't recover.
Great bedside manner from a president. I know you're fucked, pretty much. Yeah, you're just, you're done, I think. But anyways, have a nice funeral. Fuck.
They must be just furious. There was one
Well, there was one what?
woman who was screaming. You probably saw yesterday that Biden killed her son, and it was a rigged election that got him there.
Jesus Christ, man. Like, one sentence leap from a dead soldier to rigged election. Imagine being that self-involved. And by the way, calling the soldiers treasure. Right.
And all the media took out the whole part that she was calling it a rigged election.
She's the one that called the radio station in Colorado. Yeah,
a rigged election.
Did they take it out? Yeah.
It was a rigged election. He didn't even know what he was doing. You took away our president. It was a rigged election. And my son is dead. If President Trump were there, my son wouldn't be dead. And that's true. We wouldn't have lost any.
And that's true. Well, we wouldn't have lost any in the evacuation because there would not be an evacuation. If Trump was in office, he was going to blow past the May 1st deadline. He admitted to it already. And he was never going to leave. Never. Literally just said the drawdown should take a couple of years.
But neither would the other side, because they were standing back, and then they can go back to fighting their revolution that they've been fighting for 1,000 years, okay? Right. Because that's what they...
1,000-year revolution. That's what it is.
If you had a message to those parents, loved ones, since
he's gonna fart on you, Dan.
War 20-some years back, and obviously on what just happened with the Marines.
20 some odd or 7?
What would that be? Because as you said, if you were in the White House, and I firmly believe this wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened.
Yes, you're right. We wouldn't have left.
But what would you say to them just now?
Yeah, what would you say? Tell us, and then tell us your magic plan for leaving.
All the ones that we've lost.
I think all I could do is apologize for the gross miscalculation of this administration. This administration is a disaster, what they're doing. Not only here, everywhere else. I mean, what can you say to a parent that lost their son or their daughter?
Well, obviously nothing, because you didn't bother. After 2017, you never went back. Biden had someone angry with him, blamed him for the loss of her son because he's the commander-in-chief. Guess what? If we have, I don't know, let's just say some soldiers that go on anti-terrorism missions in Niger, for example, and any of them, God forbid, are harmed, Biden will be there too. He won't stop going because someone yelled at him.
Due to incompetence, because I believe it was incompetence. There's no way they did this for any other reason. I know there are a lot of things. I happen to think the southern border is incompetence too. I say there's no way anybody could want that.
Well, I agree. I mean, to be fair, I believe the southern border is incompetence. I mean, who the fuck builds a wall that stops working on January 20th? You build 500 miles of wall and it just stops being a wall?
Could be that stupid. Has to be incompetence.
Has to.
Because the southern border was sealed. Everything was good.
It was sealed. It was a great wall. They just forgot to fucking paint it. And a painted wall doesn't work. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a construction site, but if you lean against a wall that hasn't been painted, you'll fall right out of the building.
Will only come in legally. They come in legally. We had stopped 82% of the drugs from coming into our country. Now,
You mean COVID did?
fentanyl is pouring through, totally unchecked.
Well, no, you're showing how it's totally unchecked. Here's it being checked. It's being caught. Now, during the Trump presidency, there were fewer of these, and they wanted us to assume that because there were fewer examples of them catching fentanyl coming through, that less fentanyl was coming through. And now that the Biden administration is catching some of these, and I think the word was checking instead of unchecked, this would be checked. Since the Biden administration is getting this stuff, there must be much more getting through, because ICE and Customs and Border Patrol only work when the president is Donald Trump and he's magic.
Stopped. We have a problem like we've never had before.
It seems like you have a problem getting some because you're sniffing like crazy.
I believe it. A lot of people disagree with me, but I believe the southern.
Did Derek Smalls smuggle that in? I swear to God, that I don't know, but that looks somewhat familiar.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Carrot.
It's Carrot Pence, everybody.
Incompetence, and either incompetence or fear of the radical left
Here's more of it, quote unquote, checked.
by people that are running things. But
Wouldn't incompetence mean that there would be no pictures like that to show because shit was getting through? Right? You can't exactly. It's like going, cops aren't even arresting murderers while they're walking a guy in cuffs who just murdered someone.
to a parent, you can only apologize for the stupidity and the unfairness of this current administration.
Yeah. No, you don't take any responsibility for yourself.
This should have never happened.
Yeah, we should have never left. We never would have left. If Trump was still in office, we would have never left Afghanistan. We weren't going to leave, and that was it.
They were not going to attack us. We were going to take our equipment. We were going to take our people. We were going to.
Sure, we were totally going to do all that. We just, like, my Canadian girlfriend, who's totally real, she had a great plan for us to get all that stuff out, and she was working on it, okay? And it almost happened.
Goodbye. I was going to blow up all forts other than.
He's going to blow up all the forts. My God, there wouldn't be a safe. Does anyone got eyes on Mike Pillow?
Where we spent $10 billion building this, I think it's the largest in the world, Air Force base, with 8 foot.
No, it isn't. Actually, I think the U.S. base in Queensland, Australia is actually the biggest.
Runways. Think of 8 foot thick.
Yeah.
You could have used 6 inches. 8 foot thick run.
Only Trump would hear you need 8 feet, and he's like, "Look, all you need is 6 inches."
The largest in the world, and it happened to be right next to China, right next to Iran, and in Afghanistan. What's better than that?
What's better than that? Then you can launch attacks and from there. I mean, we don't have to because you can do it from boats, and we don't need. Yeah, but we could do that and have our soldiers in harm's way.
So I was going to keep that.
Yeah, get out of the country, 100%, all the bolts, all the nuts, all the gear, everybody, get the people out, then the military, but also have the biggest Air Force base in the world is empty?
Just have it. It's a good thing to have.
Just have it. Just have it. I'm just going to have it. I'm going to have it. Hold on. I think we need... see if we can do this in here. I think it's in there. Scrolling through something. Give me 1 second. There we go. Hold on.
Have a base, and they gave it up in one night.
Yeah, they left. Like they said they were going to leave, and they did it. What the fuck? Who says they're going to do something and then actually does it? Look how... Like he's baffled. Like he's completely confused. This baffles him. He cannot understand what. I wasn't gonna. Sure, I said May 1st, but I wasn't gonna actually do. I mean, We set up conditions on the ground no one could meet. And then we were going to stay forever and have the biggest military base in Afghanistan and leave.
They fled Bagram, the biggest, one of the biggest in the world. I think the biggest in the world. And they fled.
You've said that already. It isn't the biggest.
A perfect location for us for
Yeah,
other
perfect. The view, beautiful. And I know real estate.
things, which you have to think. You have to be a chess player. You have to be a poker player. You have to see where the other side's coming from. China.
Yeah, you totally have to see where the other side's coming from. And that's why you want one of your chess pieces directly diagonally from the queen without any means of support. And you can just get it wiped out.
Laughing at us. Russia is laughing at us.
No. Russia has fires bigger than all other fires on Earth combined. And China is overwhelmed with flooding and starvation right now. No one's laughing at us. As a matter of fact, they're going, fuck. Not only are we on fire, and not only is China flooding, but America's stopped dumping $140 million in the desert every day.
And this morning I heard...
Even Dan Balls is confused.
I get along very well with Kim Jong-un. I was criticized for that. You didn't...
Well, buying his bullshit.
Thing about North Korea for 4 years.
Well, no, we heard a lot about North Korea for 4 years, and it turns out they were actually continuing to build ballistic missiles that could reach the American shores. We heard about that, and you ignored it. We heard both about them doing it and you ignoring it.
You took office like you were going to put us in war. That's what Obama and the rest of the Democrats told us. You as president would put us in war with North Korea, and you calmed it all down and put him in his place.
Rocket Man, the whole thing. Remember he's got a red button in his desk. I said, I have a much bigger red button, and my red button works. And it was really nasty for a month or two. People thought, wow. And then all of a sudden, he wanted to go to the Olympics. Let's meet at the Olympics, which was a big failure until he said that, because nobody wanted to go because they thought the Olympics in South Korea were going to be bombed. So all of a sudden, he wants to go to the Olympics. And then we ultimately met in Singapore and Vietnam. And more importantly, I met him in North Korea.
Yeah, and we're familiar.
This time.
And now you recognized his government as legitimate and came back from that meeting and undercut the South Korean government. So, yeah.
And he and I got along great. He and I...
What's not to like? You were fucking up the South Korean strategic security partnership. I mean, why wouldn't he like you?
Absolutely got along great. You know, they hate to see that. Oh, that's a terrible thing when you're getting along. Just like now.
Keep your friends closer, your enemies closer.
Yeah, they said, why did you...
Yeah, no. Sorry, you keep your friends close and your enemies closer is like gangster bullshit. You fucking moron. Yeah, we should have, you know what? The whole Auschwitz thing, it would have been better if like Truman had just taken Hitler shopping.
To the Taliban, because I told the Taliban, you play games with us and we're going to blow you to pieces. That's what I told them. I said, now we can start talking about how we go about it. But if you play any games, we're going to blow you to pieces. Worse than any country has ever been hit, we're going to hit you. But they say they're so stupid. It's grossly income. Why are you dealing with the Taliban? There's nobody else to deal with.
Yeah, you're kind of undercutting. I don't know. Some asshole was on the news a little bit ago talking about how it's stupid to. Yeah, it looks something like this. I don't recognize him, but he was. I'm just saying, Mr. Former President. If that's indeed that was the job you had, I'm not familiar. I mean. I only memorize the really important historical presidents, so I have to say, I thought, weren't you a game show host? No offense to game show hosts. Some of them are lovely people.
Nobody else to deal with. But they didn't deal with the Taliban, right? They dealt with the Taliban from weakness. I dealt from strength.
Yeah. The strength of blowing off the deal and staying forever.
I dealt with the Taliban. When I took over, we had almost 20,000 soldiers. When I left, we have 2,500 soldiers. I'm the one. I got them out. And yet those 2,500 in strategic places.
There was 8. he brought it up to 15, back down to 8. Then he took 5 out right before the election because he thought it would help him.
Held
Thanks.
that country perfectly. Perfectly.
Yes, I think today, Donald Trump, of course, because he's sort of our only contestant, wins the five eggs award today, clearly.
5 eggs.
So, congratulations.
5 eggs in a month.
That's right. Only 5 eggs. He's only ever going to get 5 eggs, even though.
Eat 2 eggs a day.
Right. Yeah. But Trump gets today's 5 eggs.
5 eggs.
The award for saying the stupidest shit anyone could possibly say while cameras are rolling. You get 5 eggs.
5 eggs.
Congratulations.
I want to bring people back home. And I could have even seen leaving a very small force. You know, we do another
Yeah, stay but leave. You can stay and leave, sure. Is it sort of we're just playing just the tip with Afghanistan forever?
countries. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think the
It's a bad thing.
country should pay a lot, like South Korea should be paying.
Yeah, we could have kept soldiers there and extorted the Afghan government into paying for us being there and never leave, even though they don't need us there, in theory.
Yes, a
Yes,
lot.
yes. The Apprentice was a game show, not a reality show. Very specific, and he never fired anybody on The Apprentice. The producers made the decision. Period. The dude hated to fire people. Look at when he was president. He never had more power to fire people than that moment in his life, and he couldn't bring himself to do it. Everybody else fired people for him.
I got them to pay us a lot, billions and billions of dollars. You know, South Korea now pays billions of dollars. They didn't pay
No, they fund parts of it, but they don't pay us.
hardly anything when I got there. I said, why are we protecting you? They said,
Why are we protecting you? I like Kim Jong-un better than I like you guys, just because you're a functioning democracy and you've been a strategic partner forever. And if you fall, North Korea can take over and they would have access to, talk about access to brand new technology. The North Koreans, you know, if they took over South Korea, would be able to constitute a missile that would reach the United States in a matter of weeks.
because you have always done it for 85 years. I said, well, we're not
We haven't always done it for every 85 years. We've had reasons to do it for 85 years.
doing it anymore. Look, you have to pay. You're a wealthy nation. You make the ships, you make the television sets, you stole our television industry, you did everything. You got to pay us. And they paid us. I mean, it wasn't so easy, but it was nasty conversations for a couple of weeks. After a couple of weeks, billions and billions of dollars they pay us.
No, they don't. They pay for their part in the strategic security agreement, meaning that they fund their own ships and stuff.
You know what the Biden administration just did? I said, you're going to have to pay us much more than this. They agreed to a cost of living increase. You know what a cost of living increase is? Like nothing. I just see it 2 weeks ago. It was reported that South Korea's agreed to pay the cost of living. Cost of living on the money that I got, okay?
No, it's nothing.
It's so sad. So when you ask me, was it on purpose? I think it was gross incompetence. I think the whole country is running incompetently,
We'll get to that in a minute.
except for stealing elections.
Yeah, that's the one.
I got
Except for stealing elections, that's the one area where they've just fucking nailed it. The Democrats can't do shit. Biden is a doddering old fool who can't finish a sentence. But man, can he steal an election? Holy shit! Who even thinks somebody could learn how to? I mean, that's amazing. He's so good at that. Yeah, of course, this guy is he knows more about ISIS than generals, more about taxes than the IRS, more about business than the Fed and money than the Fed. But obviously, 8 volunteers in Georgia can kick his ass while he's president of the United States. Man,